Mastering disrespect, a Stoic path to inner peace and resilience. Disrespect, a ubiquitous and often painful human experience, can leave us feeling vulnerable, angry, and destabilized. Whether it manifests as a casual insult, a deliberate act of malice, or a pervasive lack of recognition, it can profoundly impact our emotional well-being. However, the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers a powerful toolkit for navigating these challenging situations with grace, resilience, and unwavering inner peace. This is not about passively accepting mistreatment, rather, it is about cultivating a profound understanding of ourselves, others, and the nature of reality to effectively manage our reactions and maintain our integrity in the face of disrespect. It is about transforming potential triggers into opportunities for growth, self-mastery, and a deeper connection to our values. Let's embark on a journey through 15 key Stoic lessons that will empower you to not only endure disrespect but to thrive in its presence, turning adversity into a catalyst for personal evolution. We will explore strategies for emotional regulation, cognitive reframing, and behavioral responses that align with Stoic principles, drawing upon the wisdom of figures like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, and weaving in modern perspectives to create a comprehensive guide to mastering disrespect. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate disrespect from our lives, an impossible task, but to cultivate the inner strength and wisdom to respond in a way that preserves our peace of mind, upholds our values, and contributes to a more virtuous and harmonious world. The first and arguably most crucial Stoic principle in dealing with disrespect is remaining calm and avoiding retaliation. In those charged moments when someone insults, disregards, or provokes us, the immediate impulse is often to react defensively, to lash out, or to seek revenge. The primitive parts of our brain flood our system with adrenaline, fueling a fight-or-flight response. While this reaction is natural, Stoicism teaches us that it is ultimately counterproductive. Retaliation, even when it feels justified, only serves to escalate the conflict, perpetuating a cycle of negativity and potentially leading to further harm. As the video insightfully suggests, the Stoic approach emphasizes pausing, taking a deep breath, and allowing ourselves time to regain emotional equilibrium. Consider the physiological impact of this simple act. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural relaxation response, effectively counteracting the fight-or-flight response. The video offers the practical tip of counting slowly to 10 or pressing your tongue to the roof of your mouth, both techniques that can help to ground you in the present moment and interrupt the automatic reaction of anger. Imagine yourself in a situation where someone publicly criticizes your work or makes a derogatory comment about your character. The instinctive reaction might be to defend yourself vehemently, to counterattack with insults of your own, or to withdraw into a state of wounded silence. However, the Stoic approach would encourage you to resist these impulses, to take a step back mentally, and to observe your emotions without judgment. Recognize that your anger is a natural response to feeling threatened, but that it does not need to dictate your actions. This initial pause is crucial because it creates a space for reason and virtue to guide your response, rather than allowing your emotions to control you. Furthermore, Stoicism extends beyond simply refraining from immediate retaliation. It also cautions against plotting revenge or engaging in passive-aggressive behavior later on. The desire to get even can be incredibly powerful, but it ultimately traps us in a cycle of resentment and negativity. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, eloquently stated that, "the best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This profound statement encapsulates the essence of the Stoic approach, to maintain our own moral principles, to treat others with dignity and respect, even when they do not reciprocate, and to rise above the pettiness of vengeance. Imagine a scenario where a colleague consistently undermines your efforts at work, taking credit for your ideas and spreading rumors about your competence. While the temptation to retaliate in kind might be strong, the Stoic approach would encourage you to focus on your own integrity and to continue producing high-quality work. By maintaining your professionalism and ethical standards, you not only protect your own reputation but also set a positive example for others. Your actions, guided by reason and virtue, can have a transformative effect on the situation, potentially inspiring your colleague to reconsider their behavior. The power of this approach lies in its ability to diffuse volatile situations and to elevate the overall tone of interactions. By remaining calm and composed, you avoid adding fuel to the fire, creating space for dialogue and resolution. You also demonstrate a level of self-control and maturity that commands respect, even from those who initially sought to disrespect you. The calm eye of the storm, as the video aptly describes it, becomes a beacon of reason and stability, influencing the environment around you in a positive way. This is not about suppressing your emotions, it's about mastering them, channeling them into constructive action rather than destructive reaction. The second Stoic lesson centers around considering the source of the disrespect. As Seneca wisely observed, he who takes offense when no offense is intended is a fool, yet he who takes offense when offense is intended is also a fool, for the wise man ignores insults. This quote highlights the importance of discerning the motivation behind the disrespectful behavior. Often, disrespect stems from the other person's own pain, insecurity, or ignorance, rather than being an accurate assessment of your worth or abilities. Their behavior is a reflection of their internal state, their unresolved issues, and their limited perspective. The video expands on this point, suggesting that in situations like customer service interactions, disrespectful behavior often arises from stress and frustration, rather than from anything personal directed at the individual. The customer may be dealing with a complex problem, feeling unheard, or experiencing other external pressures that contribute to their irritability. Recognizing this can help us to detach emotionally from their behavior and avoid taking it personally. Instead of reacting defensively or escalating the conflict, we can respond with empathy and understanding, focusing on resolving their issue and de-escalating the situation. This approach not only helps to preserve our own peace of mind but also allows us to provide better service and potentially turn a negative experience into a positive one. More broadly, considering the source involves recognizing that people's perceptions and assumptions are shaped by their own biases, past experiences, and limited information. What someone attacks in you often mirrors what they attack in themselves. Their disrespect does not necessarily imply any lack of merit in you. For example, someone who is highly critical of your ambition may be secretly envious of your drive and success. Their criticism is a projection of their own insecurities and limitations, rather than an objective evaluation of your capabilities. Understanding this can help us to detach from their negativity and maintain confidence in our own abilities. Imagine a scenario where you present a creative idea at work, and a colleague dismisses it as unrealistic or impractical. Their reaction might be influenced by their own risk aversion, their fear of change, or their lack of understanding of the potential benefits of your idea. Instead of internalizing their criticism and doubting your own creativity, you can recognize that their perspective is shaped by their own biases and limitations. You can then calmly and confidently present your idea, addressing their concerns and highlighting the potential benefits. By focusing on the merits of your idea, rather than reacting to their negativity, you increase the chances of it being accepted and implemented. This process of considering the source requires a deep understanding of human psychology and the ability to empathize with others, even when they are behaving disrespectfully. It also requires a strong sense of self-awareness and the ability to recognize our own biases and limitations. By approaching interactions with curiosity and a genuine desire to understand the other person's perspective, we can avoid taking offense unnecessarily and respond in a way that promotes understanding and resolution. The wise individual, as the video emphasizes, does not internalize insults. They recognize that disrespect is often a reflection of the other person's internal state, rather than an objective assessment of their own worth. They maintain inner faith in their value, regardless of how others behave, and allow the negativity to roll off their back. This inner resilience is cultivated through self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and a commitment to living in accordance with our values. The third Stoic lesson builds upon the previous two, urging us to be the bigger person when faced with insult or mistreatment. This doesn't mean condoning disrespectful behavior or allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of, but rather choosing to respond with wisdom, compassion, and integrity, even when it's difficult. It's about seeing the situation as a test of our principles and resilience, an opportunity to demonstrate our strength of character and to rise above the urge for retaliation. The video highlights the importance of pausing before reacting negatively, using the moment to gather our thoughts and to choose a response that aligns with our values. This might involve replying with calm assertiveness, setting clear boundaries, or making reasonable requests for changed behavior. The key is to communicate our needs and expectations without resorting to insults, meanness, or aggression. For example, if a colleague consistently interrupts you during meetings, you might calmly and assertively say, "I appreciate your input, but I would like to finish my thought before we move on. It's important for me to be heard." This statement clearly communicates your need to be respected, while also maintaining a professional and respectful tone. However, the Stoic approach also recognizes that sometimes, the most effective response is to walk away from the situation, either temporarily or permanently. This is especially true when the disrespectful behavior persists despite your efforts to address it or when the situation becomes toxic or harmful. Walking away is not an act of weakness, but rather an act of self-preservation. It demonstrates that you value your own well-being and that you are not willing to tolerate mistreatment. It also sends a powerful message to the other person that their behavior is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. The video emphasizes the importance of doing so with integrity, avoiding explosive venting or passive-aggressive parting shots. The goal is to remove yourself from the situation in a way that preserves your dignity and avoids escalating the conflict. Imagine a situation where you are being subjected to persistent harassment or discrimination at work. Despite your attempts to address the issue with your superiors, the behavior continues. In this case, the Stoic approach would encourage you to prioritize your own well-being and to consider leaving the job. This might be a difficult decision, but it is ultimately a responsible one. It demonstrates that you value your own health and happiness above the perceived benefits of staying in a toxic environment. You can then focus on finding a new job where you will be treated with respect and valued for your contributions. The act of maintaining poise and respectfulness when provoked is transformative, not only for the conflict itself but also for our own character. Each difficult interaction contains an opportunity to demonstrate the virtues of understanding, patience, and courage. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden." Disrespect loses its power to disturb us when we face it with virtue. By responding with kindness, compassion, and integrity, we not only diffuse the conflict but also strengthen our own character and inspire others to do the same. We become leaders by example, demonstrating the power of Stoic principles to create a more harmonious and respectful world. This is not about being a doormat or passively accepting mistreatment, it's about choosing to respond with wisdom and virtue, even when it's difficult. It's about recognizing that we have the power to control our own reactions and to create a more positive outcome, regardless of the other person's behavior. The fourth crucial Stoic lesson highlights the importance of focusing on what you can control. As Epictetus famously stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This principle is central to Stoic philosophy and is particularly relevant in dealing with disrespect. When someone insults or mistreats us, it's easy to get caught up in trying to change their behavior or ruminating endlessly about the situation. We might try to argue with them, to convince them that they are wrong, or to force them to apologize. However, the Stoics recognized that these attempts are often futile. We cannot dictate other people's attitudes or behaviors. The only thing we truly have control over is our own response. The video emphasizes the importance of asking ourselves constructive questions, such as, how can I handle this with composure and ethics? What can I learn from this about myself and my principles? What is the most dignified way to move forward? These questions shift our focus from the uncontrollable to the controllable, empowering us to take action in a way that aligns with our values. Imagine a situation where you are being unfairly criticized by your boss at work. You cannot control their criticism, but you can control how you respond to it. You can choose to react defensively, arguing with them and denying their accusations. Or, you can choose to respond with composure and professionalism, asking clarifying questions, seeking specific examples, and calmly explaining your perspective. By focusing on your own response, you not only maintain your dignity but also increase the chances of resolving the conflict in a constructive manner. The video suggests channeling our power into the sphere of influence available to us, staying rooted in our values, acting with integrity, calmly advocating for fair treatment when viable, and controlling the message we tell ourselves. This involves recognizing that we have a choice in how we interpret the situation and the meaning we assign to it. We can choose to see the disrespect as a personal attack, a reflection of our own worth, or we can choose to see it as a reflection of the other person's issues, a temporary setback, or an opportunity for growth. By controlling the message we tell ourselves, we can protect our emotional well-being and maintain a positive outlook. Of course, Stoicism doesn't advocate for passivity or resignation. We should still seek to improve our circumstances through reasonable action when feasible. This might involve setting boundaries, seeking support from others, or taking steps to address the disrespectful behavior. However, it's important to do so without attachment to controlling uncontrollable things like someone else's conduct. Serenity comes from focusing only on what is within our power. As the video concludes, disrespect may be unavoidable at times, but we always can choose whether to respond with wisdom and principle or react with disturbance and blindness. Our control begins within. This inner control is cultivated through self-awareness, self-discipline, and a commitment to living in accordance with our values. The fifth essential Stoic lesson reminds us to accept that you cannot please everyone. No matter how kind, skillful, or wise you are, some people will inevitably be disrespectful or dislike you. This is a fundamental truth of human nature and is beyond your control. Trying to please everyone is a recipe for frustration and disappointment. The video encourages careful reflection on why someone might treat you disrespectfully, suggesting that their behavior often stems from vastly different values, worldviews, and experiences, rather than anything about you personally. People have a right to their preferences and opinions, even if they differ from your own. You need not take differences of taste as personal affronts. Imagine you are a musician with a unique and unconventional style. Some people will love your music and appreciate your creativity, while others will dislike it and criticize it as being strange or unlistenable. It's important to accept that not everyone will appreciate your music and that their opinions are a reflection of their own tastes and preferences, rather than an objective assessment of your talent. You can continue to create music that resonates with you and your audience, without trying to please those who will never appreciate it. The video also acknowledges that there are countless factors outside your influence. Reflect on feedback to consider if you have room to improve your conduct, but not all criticism is fair or accurate. Discern mindfully which reflects inner issues of the critic versus your own shortcomings. As the Buddha taught, some will hate you, some will love you. This is beyond your control. Do your best to treat all kindly, but accept you won't be everyone's cup of tea. Make peace with this inevitability. Your worth is not dependent on pleasing the whole world. Stay grounded inwardly, following your own conscience. Manage your emotions skillfully when disliked, but don't expect universal approval. It cannot be forced. This acceptance is not about resigning ourselves to being disliked or mistreated. It's about recognizing that we cannot control other people's opinions and that our worth is not dependent on their approval. It's about staying true to ourselves, living in accordance with our values, and focusing on what we can control. By releasing the need for external validation, we free ourselves from the emotional roller coaster of seeking approval and avoiding disapproval. We become more resilient to criticism and disrespect, knowing that our worth is inherent and unchanging. This inner grounding allows us to navigate social interactions with greater confidence and authenticity, knowing that we are enough, regardless of what others think. We can then focus on building meaningful relationships with those who appreciate us for who we are and on contributing to the world in a way that aligns with our values. The sixth lesson pivots from external factors to internal reflection, urging us to reflect on whether any of their criticism has validity. Stoics understand that we all have flaws and room for growth. Handling even disrespectful feedback thoughtfully can be a valuable opportunity for self-improvement. The video suggests that when someone attacks or mocks an element of your character, avoid knee-jerk defensiveness. Pause and review their feedback rationally once emotions have settled down. Ask yourself, might this criticism highlight a genuine weakness in me, even if the delivery is harsh? Be open to the usefulness of the message. Is there any room for improvement or virtues to cultivate related to the flaws they pointed out? Do an honest self-inventory before rejecting criticism outright. Imagine that a colleague, known for their bluntness, tells you that your presentations are disorganized and difficult to follow. Your initial reaction might be to dismiss their criticism as being rude and unhelpful. However, the Stoic approach would encourage you to set aside your emotions and to objectively evaluate their feedback. Is there any truth to what they are saying? Are your presentations truly as clear and concise as they could be? If you honestly assess your presentations and find that there is room for improvement, you can use their feedback as motivation to develop your presentation skills. You might seek out resources on effective communication, practice your presentations beforehand, or ask for feedback from trusted colleagues. By embracing their criticism as an opportunity for growth, you can transform a potentially negative experience into a positive one. The video emphasizes that not all feedback is accurate or worthy of integrating. Use discernment to determine what comes from their own issues versus your genuine shortcomings. Consider the source's wisdom and motivations before fully accepting their critiques. Thank those giving constructive feedback, even painfully so. There is opportunity for growth even in hurtful remarks if you search for the lesson with humility. Our enemies often point out weaknesses our friends gloss over to be kind. The Stoics know we are all imperfect and have room to improve ourselves each day. Even from disrespect, wisdom can emerge if you listen for it. Handle feedback with rational discernment rather than dismissing our critique as simply unfair. This process of self-reflection requires honesty, humility, and a willingness to confront our own weaknesses. It's not about beating ourselves up or dwelling on our imperfections. It's about identifying areas where we can improve and taking steps to cultivate the virtues we aspire to embody. By embracing this mindset of continuous improvement, we become more resilient to criticism and more confident in our ability to overcome challenges. We also demonstrate a commitment to personal growth that inspires others and contributes to a more positive and productive environment. The seventh Stoic principle addresses the natural human inclination towards resentment, urging us to remember that we all make mistakes. Feelings of anger and a desire for retribution are natural when insulted or mistreated. However, holding resentments rarely benefits you in the long run. It chains you energetically to the one who hurt you. The video prompts us to consider whether a slight disrespect really merits our ongoing distress and demand for vengeance. Is it better to simply forgive unskillful behavior that was not deeply malicious and move on? As Marcus Aurelius put it, the best revenge is not to be like the wrongdoer. Wish them well instead. Forgiveness demonstrates courage and principles. Imagine you are in a heated argument with a family member, and they say something hurtful in the heat of the moment. Your initial reaction might be to hold on to that hurt, to dwell on their insensitivity, and to harbor resentment towards them. However, the Stoic approach would encourage you to consider the broader context of the situation. Are they typically a kind and considerate person? Were they under stress or facing challenges that might have contributed to their outburst? Is their hurtful comment truly representative of their feelings towards you? If you can honestly answer yes to these questions, you might consider forgiving them for their mistake and moving on. This doesn't mean condoning their behavior or pretending that it didn't happen. It means choosing to release the negative emotions that are holding you back and to focus on rebuilding the relationship. The video acknowledges that some acts of disrespect cross lines requiring accountability or removal from your life. Use wisdom to discern unhealthy patterns necessitating boundaries from simple misunderstandings warranting grace. But for minor disputes, a short memory often serves happiness. As Epictetus said, we should control our anger and restrain it in narrow bounds, lest it become our master. Avoid blown conflicts. The respectful and wise know all people sometimes speak or act unskillfully, but kindness, patience, and forgiveness heal rifts. Renew your spirit by releasing lesser offenses. Choose your battles judiciously. This process of forgiveness requires a shift in perspective, from focusing on the offense to focusing on the relationship. It requires a willingness to see the other person as a flawed human being who is capable of making mistakes, just like ourselves. It also requires a commitment to our own emotional well-being, recognizing that holding on to resentment is ultimately more harmful to us than it is to the other person. By choosing to forgive, we liberate ourselves from the chains of negativity and create space for healing and growth. We also set an example of compassion and understanding that can inspire others to do the same. The eighth Stoic lesson underscores the powerful influence of our social environment, advocating that we surround yourself with respectful, supportive people. The video encourages a careful audit of our relationships and social circles. Do some individuals routinely act dismissively or demeaning toward you? Do they fail to appreciate your worth? Consider limiting contact with those who bring out the worst in you. Even if disconnecting completely isn't feasible, such as with difficult family members, try to minimize time spent together, interacting only briefly and under controlled conditions where possible. Imagine you have a friend who consistently puts you down, criticizes your choices, and makes you feel insecure about yourself. While you may have a long history with this person, their negativity is ultimately harmful to your well-being. The Stoic approach would encourage you to evaluate the impact of this relationship on your life and to consider limiting contact with them. You might choose to spend less time with them, to avoid discussing sensitive topics with them, or to gradually distance yourself from the relationship altogether. This doesn't mean ending the friendship abruptly or being unkind to them. It means prioritizing your own well-being and creating space for more positive and supportive relationships in your life. The video emphasizes that we should fill our life instead with those who treat you with basic decency while encouraging your growth. Those resonating with your values make all the difference. Good company uplifts your whole being. Of course, have compassion even for toxic people, but protect your energy too. Relationships should empower both parties, not drain one. You teach others how to treat you by what you tolerate. Surround yourself with those who see your light rather than cast shade upon it. Life opens up exponentially when you let some connections recede to make room for fulfilling bonds aligned with your highest self. This process of curating our social environment requires discernment, courage, and a willingness to prioritize our own well-being. It's not about being selfish or isolating ourselves from others. It's about creating a support network of people who uplift us, encourage us, and help us to become our best selves. By surrounding ourselves with positive influences, we not only improve our own emotional well-being but also create a more supportive and harmonious environment for ourselves and those around us. We become more resilient to disrespect and negativity, knowing that we have a strong foundation of support to fall back on. We also attract more positive experiences and opportunities into our lives, as we radiate confidence, joy, and authenticity. The ninth Stoic principle cautions against the trap of excessive negativity, urging us to not gossip or complain excessively about the disrespect. Venting often makes you dwell on negatives and gives the situation more power over you. Of course, share disrespectful incidents with close confidants who offer healthy support and perspective, but avoid fixating endlessly to anyone who will listen. This reinforces victimhood and negativity. When you feel the urge to gossip or complain arise, pause first. Consider if this is truly serving your growth or just spreading more toxicity. There are often better uses for your time and energy. The video points out that venting discontent can easily become a bad habit when disrespected, but as Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Excessive complaining magnifies hurt. Shift focus to constructive action instead. Look for the learning in difficulties rather than just telling tales of woe. Frame experiences neutrally as opportunities to demonstrate virtues like forgiveness, courage, and patience. Imagine you are constantly complaining to your friends about your boss's unfair treatment of you. While it may feel good to vent your frustrations in the short term, it is ultimately reinforcing your negative emotions and keeping you stuck in a victim mentality. You are focusing your attention on the problem rather than on the solution. The Stoic approach would encourage you to shift your focus to constructive action. What steps can you take to address the unfair treatment? Can you have a conversation with your boss about your concerns? Can you document the instances of unfair treatment? Can you seek support from HR or other resources? By focusing on taking action, you are empowering yourself to change the situation rather than remaining a passive victim. The video suggests that when communicating, avoid words that blow up the significance of the disrespect. Be wary of confirmation bias in commiserating with those who only agree with your perspective. See the bigger picture. Speaking of grievances can release emotions in the short term but keeps you stuck in victimhood. Handle difficulties philosophically within yourself rather than amplifying negativity outwardly. This process of shifting from complaining to constructive action requires self-discipline, self-awareness, and a commitment to taking responsibility for our own well-being. It's not about suppressing our emotions or pretending that everything is fine. It's about acknowledging our emotions, processing them in a healthy way, and then focusing our energy on finding solutions. By adopting this proactive approach, we become more resilient to challenges and more effective in creating positive change in our lives. We also inspire others to do the same, creating a more solution-oriented and empowering environment around us. The 10th lesson reinforces the need for emotional detachment, guiding us to keep an emotional distance from those who mistreat you. When someone insults you, recognize it says more about their issues and character than your value as a person. Their opinions come from their subjective perspective, not any absolute truth. Don't take attacks personally. Keep inner faith in your own worth and principles regardless of others' conduct. Their disrespect does not actually diminish your value. Remain grounded in self-knowledge rather than looking to them for validation. Imagine someone criticizing your appearance. The Stoic approach would encourage you to realize that their criticism stems from their own subjective preferences and insecurities and that it has nothing to do with your actual worth as a human being. Your value comes from your character, your actions, and your contributions to the world, not from your physical appearance. The video reminds us that of course, no one enjoys being attacked, but the impact on your spirit is within your power to manage. As Marcus Aurelius advised, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. Do not allow the shortcomings of others to become your own by permitting their words to infiltrate how you see yourself. You remain fully in control over your dignity and inner peace. Externals cannot penetrate your mind and heart without consent. Keep your spirit elevated beyond reach of unjustified criticism. This emotional distance is cultivated through self-awareness, self-acceptance, and a strong sense of self-worth. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you value, regardless of what others think. By cultivating this inner strength, you can protect yourself from the emotional sting of disrespect and maintain your peace of mind in challenging situations. The 11th Stoic principle emphasizes the importance of integrity, urging us to maintain your integrity and values. When insulted or mistreated, it's tempting to betray your principles in reaction, maybe demeaning them back, sabotaging their reputation, or even groveling for validation, but these reactive ploys only diminish your worth further. Rather than playing their game, stand firm in who you are. Keep exemplifying kindness, understanding, and fairness, even if the other does not reciprocate. In a frustrating conflict, do not let their behavior drag you down. As Epictetus put it, dare to look up to God and say, "Make use of me for the future as thou wilt. I am of the same mind, I am one with thee. I refuse nothing which seems good to thee." Have faith in your higher purpose. Imagine a situation where someone spreads false rumors about you to damage your reputation. Your initial reaction might be to retaliate in kind, spreading rumors about them or trying to sabotage their career. However, the Stoic approach would encourage you to resist this temptation and to maintain your integrity. You might choose to address the rumors directly, calmly and factually correcting the misinformation. Or, you might choose to ignore the rumors altogether, trusting that your character and actions will speak for themselves. The video reminds us that of course, be willing to examine your own conduct to see if you have room to improve, but do not abandon your core principles or adopt unethical behavior. Compromise on superficial matters but not your soul. Staying rooted in your wisdom and conscience earns self-respect and integrity. These become your steady anchor in any stormy conflict. Handling disputes with rational virtue reveals true strength and maturity. This commitment to integrity requires courage, self-discipline, and a strong moral compass. It's about choosing to do the right thing, even when it's difficult, and trusting that your actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome. By maintaining your integrity, you not only protect your own reputation but also inspire others to do the same, creating a more ethical and just environment for everyone. The 12th Stoic lesson balances respect with assertiveness, advising us to be polite and professional but stand up for yourself when necessary. Default to being courteous and extending basic respect to those who mistreat you, taking the high road, but avoid allowing harmful behavior to continue unaddressed in the name of peacekeeping. Passivity backfires. When disrespected, first call it out politely. Say something like, "Please do not speak to me that way," or, "Those remarks were hurtful and unjustified." Give them an opportunity to recognize and adjust their conduct. Assume good intent initially. Be firm and fair in establishing your boundaries. Imagine a colleague consistently makes demeaning jokes at your expense. You could politely but firmly say, "I appreciate humor, but I find those jokes hurtful. Please refrain from making them in the future." This sets a clear boundary while maintaining a professional tone. The video emphasizes that of course, remove yourself immediately from any interaction turning verbally or physically aggressive. Do not remain mistreated for sake of etiquette, but even then part ways while upholding your own authority and principles. Find power in embodying essential dignity for yourself and all people. With principled courage and highest mutual care, much conflict can be transformed. Led by drawing out the angels in human nature. This balance between politeness and assertiveness requires emotional intelligence, self-confidence, and a commitment to both our own well-being and the well-being of others. It's about being able to communicate our needs and boundaries in a clear and respectful manner, while also being willing to stand up for ourselves and others when necessary. The 13th principle addresses the limitations of external control, teaching us to realize you cannot force others to respect you. When disrespected, it is tempting to reactively blow up or cave in, trying to coerce respect through intimidation or obsequiousness, but these strategies undermine self-worth further. Authentic respect cannot be compelled. Understand that other people's choices to be polite or not ultimately stem from their own judgments and internal state. Your attempts to control their behavior externally only lead to frustration and loss of personal power. Imagine you are constantly trying to impress someone who consistently treats you with disrespect. You might go out of your way to do favors for them, to agree with their opinions, or to seek their approval. However, your attempts to gain their respect are likely to be futile. They will continue to treat you with disrespect, and you will only end up feeling more frustrated and devalued. The video emphasizes that instead, focus on self-respect, upholding your own standards of integrity independent of how anyone else chooses to act. Led by example through demonstrating principled, rational responses that speak for themselves. As Gandhi said, "I cannot teach you violence, as I do not myself believe in it. I can only teach you not to bow your heads before anyone, even at the cost of your life." Stand tall internally. When you remain composed and ethical amidst mistreatment, you earn self-respect through courage and virtue. Your inherent dignity shines bright enough to inspire it in others when conditions allow. Nurture it first within. This realization that we cannot force others to respect us is liberating. It frees us from the burden of trying to control other people's behavior and allows us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. By cultivating self-respect, we become more resilient to disrespect and more effective in inspiring respect in others. The 14th Stoic lesson promotes a positive mindset, advising us to focus on the positives. When insulted or mistreated, it's easy to fall into self-pity and dwell on negatives, but wallowing in victimhood tends to breed more unhappiness, not conflict resolution. Counterbalance it with gratitude. Make a list of your positive qualities and valuable contributions. Remember all the people in your life who do love, respect, and support you. Review your achievements and capabilities. Imagine you are feeling down after receiving negative feedback at work. The Stoic approach would encourage you to shift your focus to the positive aspects of your life. You might make a list of your accomplishments, your strengths, and the people who care about you. You might also reflect on the positive impact you have had on others, both personally and professionally. By focusing on these positive aspects, you can boost your self-esteem and regain a sense of perspective. The video suggests considering the disrespectful person's own positive attributes as well. Their flaws likely coexist with good intentions and virtues in areas you lack information about. Assume fundamental human dignity. Sit with the reality that you have gifts to offer and are worthy of respect just for being you, but release attachment to receiving it from every person. Peace comes from within, not needing validation. Focusing on the light during times of darkness provides perspective and protects against distorted thinking. Be proud of your merits while having compassion for those unable to appreciate them fully, at least for now. As Carl Jung put it, I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. Your circumstances and treatment do not define your worth. Shine on undeterred. This shift in focus requires conscious effort and a willingness to challenge negative thought patterns. It's about training our minds to focus on the good, even in the midst of adversity. By cultivating a positive mindset, we become more resilient to challenges and more effective in attracting positive experiences into our lives. The 15th and final Stoic principle emphasizes the long-term perspective, urging us to take the long view on life's ups and downs. When embroiled in conflicts or mistreated, recall times in your past you overcame similar trials, even if they felt devastating in the moment. You are stronger than you know. This too shall pass. Look at difficult scenarios as opportunities to demonstrate principles of understanding, resilience, and grace under fire. How you respond defines you more than what happens. Imagine you are feeling overwhelmed by a difficult situation at work. The Stoic approach would encourage you to zoom out and consider the situation in the context of your entire life. Have you faced similar challenges in the past? How did you overcome them? What did you learn from those experiences? By remembering your past successes, you can gain confidence in your ability to overcome the current challenge. The video suggests enduring nobly like the greats you admire. Consider how petty occasional disrespect will seem in 10 years' time of all the experiences shaping your life. Don't exaggerate one's significance. Keep perspective. Of course, take reasonable steps to establish healthy boundaries and uphold justice, but do so patiently rooted in the bigger picture. Temporary conflicts need not derail you from your higher aims. Respond to trials with the wisdom of one who has overcome greater ordeals. Allow life's brevity and eternity to frame each insult in perspective. This long-term perspective helps us to detach from the immediate emotional intensity of the situation and to see it as a temporary blip in the grand scheme of things. It allows us to respond with greater wisdom, patience, and perspective. In conclusion, mastering disrespect is not about avoiding it altogether, but rather about cultivating the inner strength, wisdom, and resilience to respond in a way that preserves our peace of mind, upholds our values, and contributes to a more virtuous and harmonious world. The 15 Stoic lessons outlined above provide a powerful framework for navigating these challenging situations with grace and effectiveness. From remaining calm and considering the source to focusing on what we can control and maintaining our integrity, these principles empower us to transform potential triggers into opportunities for growth, self-mastery, and a deeper connection to our values. By embracing these lessons and integrating them into our daily lives, we can not only endure disrespect but also thrive in its presence, turning adversity into a catalyst for personal evolution. Remember, the path to inner peace and resilience is a lifelong journey, but with the wisdom of Stoicism as our guide, we can navigate the challenges of life with greater confidence, grace, and unwavering integrity. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content.